Hello everyone, my name is Emil Wickman and this is my kind of tutorial, maybe not tutorial, maybe an inspirational video of how I did some of the steps for my Mythic Legions Fantastic Four tribute figures. I love Mythic Legions figures and I love doing tribute figures. So these are my Fantastic Four. Well, of course they're four, they're Fantastic Four. Anyway, tribute figures. I used mainly original Mythic Legions parts for making these, and if we say, for example, Reed Richards and Sue Richards here in the front, Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, for those two characters I used mainly original parts that I repainted. But when it comes to the Thing and the Human Torch, I did some more customizing than I usually do. So I thought I'd just show you guys some of the steps that I did. Maybe they can inspire you to try something. So this is me and Olof. Olof is a great friend of mine, and he was very helpful when it come down to creating these figures. There were some steps that I really was planning to do a totally different way, but he steered me right and was a great help. So the first character I'm gonna start talking about is the Thing. When I do a tribute figure, I gather different reference materials to try to get a feeling for the character. Well, actually, I also watch a lot of bios, the origin stories of the characters, just to get a feel for them, you know? When it comes to Ben, I really wanted to make sure to get those wonderful blue eyes included, because his blue eyes, that's the door to his soul, his soft side. He's a wonderful character. So here we have Archimedes. I decided to use Archimedes as the base body for creating the Thing. And I started off with a head. Archimedes, I cut off his ears, I cut off his teeth, I started to carve, and I continued to carve out his cyclope eye. And so I carved out holes and attached small, I guess you could say, beads. So after that, I used something that's called green stuff. Green stuff is it's a material that you mix together and then you put it on as clay, and after a while it hardens. So here you can see that I've started to build up around his eyes, continuing here, starting to create a nose for him, continuing here, building up the rest of his face. You can see here, this is how it looks before I started to create the pattern on it, his wonderful stone skin. And this is the finished result. This is how it ended up before I applied any paints. And I was pretty happy with it. At one time I was thinking maybe I should make it wider because the Thing is pretty wide. But then I figured I've been steering away too far from the original, well, Archimedes sculpt anyway. So I figured I'll let him be slightly thinner. And here we have the body sculpted. It took a lot of time to add all that green stuff and make sure that it worked out. That took a lot of time. To the right here, you can see the upper arm. If you apply a lot of the green stuff and sculpt it into it, I think it looked really good. But when it came to the arms, well, you'll see that later that I did that the same kind of sculpting on his lower arms and on his biceps. But when it come up to the shoulders, it was like, if he's gonna be able to articulate this, you can't apply something on it because the joints are tight. So instead I choose to carve the pattern into the arm, and then it smoothly it works over into sculpted skin. When I had this step, I decided to think about what colors am I gonna use. So this was the first idea, to give him shorts, and then maybe the full pants, just having the feet showing, or maybe no pants at all, just coloring the waist piece. I ended up doing the full pants, and I was happy with that. So I had to apply a layer of green stuff on the legs to make it look like tight pants and not like muscles. When it comes to the Human Torch, I wanted to use a head that was very clear, clean. So I decided to use this head sculpt that I called the Shujin character. He has no hair. He's a pretty good base head for customizing. And then when it comes to the flames, my initial idea was to add just green stuff, just build it up with green stuff, big flames. But then my friend Olov and his brother, another friend of mine, Mats, they questioned that. Do you think that's gonna? I mean, it won't. I think it will break. So I decided, okay, what do you guys suggest? So instead, Mats said that he had this figure from Age of Sigmar, a miniature game. It's called the Burning Chariot of Tsench, and he had extra parts of these flames that are coming out. Maybe you could use these somehow. So I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. And so here I have taken some of that apart and just trying to see how it would look on the pauldron. Once I had that look good, I realized I can't just glue it here. If I glue it here, it's gonna break. Actually, Olaf told me that it's probably gonna break. You need to pin this down. So here comes the pinning process. Once the part was fitted well, I drilled it with a hand drill, a small drill, made a hole, and in that hole I put a thin metal thread. I glued it in there. So you can see it here. Oh, this photo is not good at all, but you can see part of it coming out. And then I drilled a hole into the pauldrons. Once I saw that everything looked good, I glued it in place. I used the same method for doing the flames on the head. Made sure that it worked first, that the fitting was good. Then I drilled it, pinned it, and glued it to the head. Same here. Small flames for the legs. And this is just showing the next step. To the right, you can see green stuff. That is how green stuff looks before you have mixed the blue and green parts together. When you do that, it turns into a darker green that you can sculpt, and then it hardens after a while. To the left, there is some sculptor Vaseline. This is the first time I've used that, but I'm never gonna sculpt with green stuff without it again, because it helped a lot. It made this process so much easier. So here I use the green stuff, sculpt it all. I use some different pliers, some different tools that I had around to add the green stuff to the head. Oh, here is just an overview. This is how it looked at one time when I was sculpting both Thing and the Human Torch at the same time. You see the Vaseline there. This is how it looks when I work. Close up of the pauldron with sculpted flames together with the plastic flames. And I've used green stuff to sculpt it so that the flames will come together like as one piece. Added some sculpted flames on the waist piece, on the torso, and well, all over, So once that was done, this is the process. Those steps, the sculpting process, that was actually the most time consuming part of these customs. Here's a photo I took on my desk once all the parts were as they should be decided, and then I snapped a photo with my phone and then just added some colors just to see what will look good. I've been looking at a lot of reference material before I decided for this paint scheme, but okay. Here's just a photo of the box that I decided. The part that will be base coated, primed with one color, and to the right is another color. And this is just a photo now to show you the part of the process for painting. You see there are a lot of parts going everywhere, attached to different areas. Well, you can look around there. You'll see some different. I've attached the parts different ways. Just a snapshot. To the left, you can see the Human Torch in the process of being painted, just some black parts in the middle, and the Thing to the right. I think this is a process where the Thing is almost done. I've not painted his eyes, and I've not finished the black parts there. And that's basically it. I know this is not a complete tutorial, but maybe it can help you find some new ways to do your custom figures. Basically, it's the green stuff that I've been using and the pinning process. Those were the two most important steps for me to get into when I did these customs. So I'm not gotten into any details with the paintings, with the colors that I've used, but I can talk about that some other time, perhaps. thank you so much for watching. I know this wasn't a tutorial precisely. Maybe it could have inspired you in some way to try some new things. I hope it did. Well, bye. Take care.